What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Rhonda on the Rocks podcast. I am so excited, as usual. I know that I say that every week because I really am excited about doing what I do. But this week is extra special. One thing about me, I am a woman of faith, and I believe that when I pray about things or when I step out on faith and when I do things that God answers. And this is a prime example of that. So if you know me, if you follow me on TikTok and Instagram and things like that, you know that I fell in love with a documentary called Scamanda. And while watching that documentary, there was so many things that came to mind. But one of the things is I wanted to talk to someone who was close to her, someone who knew her, who had some type of connection with her. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, my good friend, my new good friend, Miss Lindsey. Welcome to the show.
I am so glad to be here. You're so lovely to have talked to, Rhonda, and I just can't wait to do this show.
Thank you. So Lindsey and I are going to dive into some really deep topics today about friendship, about all of those good things. So please stay tuned. So Lindsey, let me ask you first. Welcome to Rhonda on the Rocks. What do you have on the rocks tonight?
Well, thanks for asking. What we got here is a double big gulp. I carry it with me always. It was on the box until it got a little warm, but honestly, can never complain.
Hey, we like what we like. For me, I had no normal chasers, but I did have some Arnold Palmer, which is why this drink looks like this, in my refrigerator. So this is sweet tea, lemonade, and vodka. Just go with it. just go with it. Get into it.
Winner to me.
Yeah, it doesn't taste great. Like, it's just okay. I probably wouldn't drink it again. But for tonight, we're just gonna go with it. So let me get a little sip and then we're gonna get started.
Wonderful.
Okay. So our first segment is called the Weekend Rundown. So my weekend, this past weekend was busy. One of my really good friends had a birthday yesterday, but we celebrated his birthday on Saturday. We're all really big fans of Real Housewives, all of the franchises, Atlanta, Salt Lake City, Potomac, all of them. And so he had a Real Housewife themed ski trip. So we went out to Lake Geneva, which is in Wisconsin, about 2 hours from Chicago. And I did not ski because I'm terrified of being injured. I have a podcast to do. I can't get hurt. And so I did not ski, but some of my friends did. And we just kind of hung out. We took a Sprinter out there. We had like champagne and charcuterie, and it was just very cute. I took some really good pictures. So check them out on my Instagram. And then after that, it was my other good friend's birthday. So we went out to a bar to celebrate her after we got back from Lake Geneva. So needless to say, Sunday, I was completely pooped. I did nothing all day Sunday, but sit in my recliner and think about my my choices that I made all weekend long. What about you, Lindsey? What's going on in your world?
That sounds so fun. I wish I could say that. But my goodness, I'll tell you right now, my dog got skunked in the face. And I never had to deal with it before, but the way it went down was just so like, ugh. I live by an elementary school that has this amazing dirt track. And it was like 11 p.m. All the lights are off. I know that nobody's there. So we let my dog run free. Right? I had smelled a skunk before, so I thought, oh, well, obviously I'll just take my little flashlight and make sure there's no skunk. Right? Oh, totally safe. We'll just keep her near us. So all of a sudden my dog takes off and she's zooming and I'm like, this is what I live for. Look at her. She's having a great time, frolicking. Oh, this is so sweet. And my partner goes, I think she's chasing something. And I'm like, no. And then, I look over and I see that tail.
Oh, no.
And then all of a sudden, my partner's like, I think she got skunked. I'm like, no, she didn't. no, she didn't. He's like, yes, she got skunked. My dog, I'll tell you right now, first thing she does is pukes, right? And then she's sneezing, shaking her head, and then rubbing herself on the grass. And my partner's like, she got skunked. And I'm like, not willing to accept that. Nope. So I'll just tell you, likely ruined everybody's night in my apartment complex because this bitch was tied up to our patio area and had everything in the kitchen sink thrown on her. My partner went and got 8 quarts of hydrogen peroxide, 4 boxes of baking soda. She still smells. Not to keep going, but I slept on the couch with her for 3 nights. That kind of dog. Anyways.
Does she still smell right now today?
Yes, I've put all kinds of essential oils on her. I've put patchouli oil. My friend swears by it. And I'm like, she just smells like a hippie, like getting dressed for a good time now. Or like, I don't know. I'm like, you stink. And she doesn't, like, her way to show affection is she rubs her head on you. Like, she's a boxer German Shepherd, like Tijuana's finest street dog. And I'm just like, oh, she's like, mother, love me. And I'm like, no.
Tijuana's finest street dog is
really.
I'm gonna name this episode Tijuana's finest street dog. That is hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious. Well, we both seem to have had very eventful weekends. I probably smelled like a skunk by the time I got done drinking Saturday night. Who knows? But I'm really sorry that happened to your precious girl, and I hope that the scent dissipates very, very soon.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. No problem. So the next segment that we are going to jump into is called Love Bites.
I'm mad. I have to go to work. I have to earn a living. I'd rather have a private income and get laid well and often.
So I've been thinking quite a bit lately, and especially when I was thinking about our conversation and the things that we've talked about leading up to this episode. And I realized, like, the older that we get, our friendships just change. And it's not always because you've like argued with someone or like had a falling out of some sorts. Life just kind of separates you and you meet new people and your lives take different roads. It's like there's no bad blood, but sometimes it does like kind of sting a little bit when you've been friends with people pretty much your whole life and to go to like, I mean, I still talk to them, like they're cool. Like I see them from time to time. I was thinking recently, like I have friends that I've known since I was a very small child who I'm not as close to anymore and not as close to as I am to some people that I've known the last 4 years or the last, 10 years. And I don't know if you've experienced that or if you've had that experience, but like, how do you kind of navigate that? And then I'll kind of talk about my feelings about it after.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. And I think we're about the same age. So we might have gone through that same like obtaining and shedding of friendships. What I heard actually in church was friends are in your life for a reason or a season. And I always thought that was interesting. But absolutely, as we grow, we learn. And, there's people in our life that serve us and there's people in our life that don't serve us. A friend is somebody who should feel good. You should feel good and uplifted. Your heart should feel full and warm. You shouldn't be struggling with like this, like, oh, that wasn't nice or anything that makes you feel just like, this is not the way I deserve to be treated. And if that involves cutting some friendships, then you're honestly winning in the end there. And maybe there are some friends where it's just nice to talk about the weather. But personally, I crave the friendships that are just super like, let's get to the point. Let's be deep about this.
Yeah. I think for me, I have really, really good friends. But a lot of my like really good friends, I consider family. Like I don't even title them as friends. Like you're my sister, you're my cousin, a lot of times our families are intertwined. I grew up in church. I've been in church my entire life. So a lot of my really good friends we like grew up in church together. And so I know that when you started going to church that you also met who you thought was a good friend or, Tell me a little bit about that. I think you know where I'm going. Tell me a little bit about that.
So, man, when I was about 23 years old, and I was just going through a really rough time. I had never been to church before. I actually was raised an atheist, but I was working at a gym at the time, and my manager had been urging me to come to a young adults group at a Christian megachurch called FCC. And I was just like, this is so not my thing. But at the same time, I was so lonely. I just didn't have people in my life. And so at some point I was like, fine, I'll go with you. And so that is when I met Scamanda, who, for anybody who doesn't know, is an old friend of mine that was caught faking cancer. And the scheme was so elaborate that we were all duped, for some of us, for about a decade. And the person who brought me to church initially happened to be best friends with Amanda. So the reason I was brought to church was to find this community. I was introduced to Amanda, and I just slid right in.
Yeah. We'll touch base on that a little bit more as we go on. But I said all that to say, like, when you were working in a gym, you met a friend through a friend or somebody that you were connected with. And I think that as we become older and, really, really dive into adulthood, our friends from childhood are still there. But like, you're going to meet people at work, right? You meet people, like some of my best friends I met in college. Some of my best friends I've met at the job that I have now that I've been at for the last 10 and a half years. And so those are the friendships that I would say have seen me go through the most in my adulthood, because I've known these people during this season of my life. And I'm not closed off to making new friends at all. Like, I've actually, the young woman, Delisa, who was on my last episode, like, her and I are super cool now, and someone else introduced me to her. And so I'm very like open to like meeting new people and starting new friendships. And sometimes I feel bad, like, am I forgetting about my old friends? Like, some people like don't feel comfortable mixing their friend groups. I'm not that type of person. Like, if you're friends with me, you're going to be friends with Felicia. You're going to be friends with Jasmine. You're going to be friends with Genesis. Like, you're going to be friends with Richard. You're going to be friends with everybody. Like, it's one big melting pot. But I know some people are different. So with your friend groups, do you generally like mix your friend groups, or do you have like, I hang out with my work friends sometimes, I hang out with my rollerblading friends another time? Like, how do you navigate that?
First of all, I just love my friends. You kind of spoke about them being chosen family, and that is very, very true for me. My family are my friends. Yeah. And honestly, I feel like a lot of my friends have a lot of similarities. So with that, I have been able to introduce like some of my poetry friends with my treatment friends. Those are both groups of people that I was able to build these immediate deep connections with. And I have a lot of people like that in my life, whether I met you like during a really difficult time or helped you during a difficult time. I think a lot of my friends have things in common, but I do also understand what you're saying. Like, maybe I would never introduce person A to person B, but isn't it so nice when you can all have like these, like, my friends are your friends and your friends are my friends?
Yes, that's what Barney taught us. Like, Sesame Street said, everybody's friends. No one is not a friend. Everybody is a friend. I think I also grew up with a pretty large family on both sides. So I have like a lot of cousins. So I've always just been around people who are friends. Like, my cousins are my friends. They were my first friends. But as you get older and you start to navigate the world, even those friendships change. So I think it's just part of the growing pains. I think now, especially for me, with like starting a podcast and like kind of doing something that's not traditional, I've really been like desperate, I would say, for the like support of my friends and stuff like that. And it comes and goes. And I talked about that on a morning show that I was on yesterday. And I've mentioned it on the podcast as well. Like, I've had to learn that my friends get Rhonda on the Rocks all the time. So they don't necessarily like have to listen to my podcast, because chances are they've either heard me say that before or something similar, or we have these conversations on a regular basis. Because at first I was like, why is my friends are not tuned in? Why are my friends not tuned in? Like, I want y'all to share my stuff and support it, subscribe, all of that stuff. And they've done those things. But if I ask them like, oh, did you listen to yesterday's episode? Chances are they did not. But I've learned to like not take offense to that anymore, because it's not a lack of support. It's just that they get this version of me all the time. Like, they get me separately from the world, what the world sees or what the world gets. So just still trying to navigate it, but I'll get there.
Yeah. And as you meeting people, oh my goodness, your friend group and your support group is just going to grow. And I'm so excited to see that.
Me too.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to jump into the next segment, which is called A No or a Go.
If you think I'm here to play around with y'all, God damn it, I'm not.
So, Lindsey, I am going to read a scenario to you. And you're going to tell me what you would do in this scenario. And if it's a no, like, yeah, I'm absolutely not messing with that. Or if it's a go, like, you know what? This is actually what I'm going to do. Okay?
Okay.
Ready?
Let's go. Yes.
All right. Here is the scenario. Your next door neighbor has started dating someone who they have deemed as the one. While out shopping, you see the one on a date with someone else who is not your really good friend neighbor. Okay. Do you tell your girl like, hey, something ain't right? Or do you just ignore it, mind your business, and keep on shopping? What do you do?
Okay. In this situation, we might have to say for sure, not a good situation. Because, gosh, what I wouldn't want to do is be like, that's my brother. What are you talking about? Like, oh my gosh, I just ruined a lot right here, right now. But if I thought that someone was doing one of my friends, good neighbors, dirty, you bet, man. I'm here to smash the patriarchy and I'm here to call shit out. I swear, don't you even try to do that around me. So to answer your question, abso-freaking-lutely. But God, I would be so embarrassed if they were like, that's my brother. That's my...
Yeah.
But yeah.
So would you approach them like you would approach the person, you would approach the one, like at the mall?
Yeah, I would. You know what? Honestly, if I thought one of my homies was being done dirty, if I knew that they were being done dirty, it would take a lot to stop me. Yeah, my friends have seen me pop off.
Okay.
Don't mess with my homies.
No, I feel that.
Or my neighbors.
Yeah.
I love that question. It's a good one.
Yeah, I too am like die hard for my friends. I think knowing me, I would have to like weigh my options here. Like, if I do this, what is the risk? Because I am not going to play nice. I'm going to act a damn fool. I'm going to show my entire ass in the mall. So I have to figure out, I have to think really hard ahead of time. Is it worth me clowning? Because if I do it, I have to go all the way. Like, I can't just like, oh, hi, like, you look familiar. Like, I can't do that. I have to be like, what the fuck is this? Like, phone out, flash on, recording, FaceTiming my friend, like, hey, this is going on. So I can't really say, I think maybe I wouldn't approach the one. I probably would do a lot of recording. I would try to FaceTime my friend, something. I also would have that little fear in the back of my mind that my friend would be upset with me. Because some people just don't like to know, right? Like, some people want to just be in their foolishness and not be disturbed. If that were me and one of my good friends saw my one out, I don't know, Lindsey. Especially at this day and age. Like, you have a partner. I currently do not. So if I think that I found that person, I don't know if I can handle another heartbreak. Like, I don't know if I could physically handle another. I might blow my fucking top. I just might lose it.
All right. All right. So, you know what? I almost want to change my answer now because you were a little bit more like calm, cool, and collected with that. And you made a couple good points about maybe let me stop and think before I pop off. So let me sprinkle a little bit of that on my answer. Okay.
Okay, come on.
But I love to know that we can both get super unhinged with that passion, like friendships that we have in our life. Aren't we so lucky to have that?
100%. Yeah, I think I would have to do some thinking. I'm not going to say that I wouldn't do something. And especially if it's like somebody that I'm really close to them, I'm in close proximity to this person because they're my next door neighbor. So that means I'm seeing this person on a regular basis. And I know some shit is fucked up. If I have a really good relationship with my neighbor, I would probably say something like, hey, I don't know. This is what I saw. I could be wrong. I hope that I'm wrong. You know, I just want you to know because I don't want to see you get hurt. And I think that would be the root of it is like, I don't want my friend to be hurt. I don't want my friend to look stupid. I don't want my friend to end up going further with this person knowing that they're not right, or that they lie and they scam and they tell people that they are terminally ill for years upon years upon years, only to not be and steal money from people and so on and so forth. Like, scammers be damned. I can't. So
scammers be damned.
Yeah.
Liars.
Yes.
Liars.
Yeah. So I think that's what would really like annoy me more than anything is like, you are lying, you are being deceitful, you are pretending to be something or someone that you are not, and you are risking other people's peace, other people's joy, other people's happiness for your own selfish gain. That right there is what's going to be that's going to be the catalyst for me popping off.
Yes.
That right there is like, it's not even about this being my neighbor. It's not even about this person being my friend. It's not about any of that. It is about the simple fact that you think it is okay,
yes,
to take advantage of people. You're that selfish that you can, like, knowing that someone loves you, knowing that someone cares about you, and they're believing one thing about you, and you don't care. That would be my reason.
Just for me, the idea that somebody can cheat, it just doesn't make sense to me. Cheating does not make sense to me. It is just so like, why don't you just take that opportunity to say like, hey, I don't want to be doing this thing with you anymore, so I'm going to go do this thing with this person. It's like, okay, same hurt, but at least you're not like cheating and lying and pretending to be loyal. Like,
right.
Ew, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah. Especially if I'm being loyal to you, right? Like, and this conversation is going down a path, but if I'm being loyal to you and I'm giving you my all and I'm like putting all of this energy into you, because please believe the DMs are hot. Okay. Everybody wants a piece of Rhonda on the Rocks. Men that I've talked to years ago have suddenly shown back up. Suddenly, like, oh, I see you doing your thing, you know, congratulations on the podcast. I'm proud of you. Like, oh, now you want to be bothered. So if I'm being loyal to you and I'm not entertaining all of these other people and you're not loyal to me, that would be my 13th reason. Like, now we have a problem. We have a problem at this point. And a good friend of mine says that he does not believe that people are naturally monogamous. I don't either. I believe that monogamy is a choice. I believe you choose to say, I am not going to entertain these other people. I'm not going to be bothered with these other people. I'm going to put my energy into this person. And when people make a choice not to, it just really takes it over the edge for me. So, yeah. Now, am I going to say that I've never cheated? I am not going to say that. I have. But I've learned from those mistakes, and I'm a better person.
We learn.
I'm a better person. Yeah. And chances are I wasn't by myself. Like, I'm almost 100% sure that it was very, very much mutual. It wasn't just me, like, breaking the heart of this very loyal, sweet man. It was like, we probably should break up at this point, but we're still like trauma bonded. So we're just going to like pretend and just like, let it fizzle type deal.
And honestly, it's almost like a phase you have to go through to some extent. Like I kind of hear what you're saying. Sure. Like, shitty relationship. I think I might know what to do. A little bit better relationship. And it's like you grow, you learn and grow.
Every day I learn and grow. All right, so we are going to jump into our last segment, my favorite segment, and we're really going to dive into the reason that we know each other and the reason that we've connected. So I want to, what's the word I want to use? I want to do some discovery with you. Like I would love for you talked a little bit about how you met Amanda. And if you don't mind just telling a little bit about the story and like what was going on throughout that like decade long friendship, a little bit about how it ended. And then I really want to dive into like how that impacted you. Like how did that help shape you a little bit? Because I feel like traumatic experiences like that, whether we want them to or not, they do help shape our lives moving forward for the good or for the bad, right? Like they impact us in a way that for some people it's like detrimental, like they just cannot get over it. And they turn like really, really extreme. They don't trust anyone. They like, just run away from everything. But I feel like anytime that we experience some type of trauma, especially at the hands of other people, it really, really impacts us. So I'll give an example. I was in a very, and I've said this a million times on the podcast, people know where I'm going, very toxic, abusive relationship back in from like 2020 to 2023. Abusive and check all the boxes, all of the above. And after that, well, during that relationship, I just simply could not imagine being without that person. And it sounds crazy, but for me, I was so like devastated or like anxious and like had a very, very anxious attachment, but was like very, very scared to be without that person because I felt like I would be without everything. Which was not true. I still have the same friends now that I did then. Like the same people were around me then, but I was so fixated on that one person, I didn't feel like I could be separate from him until I was. And I think moving forward, like how that impacted me, I'm definitely a hell of a lot more cautious with people in dating, like romantic relationships, very, very mindful of how people talk to me in the beginning, their tone, their body language, things that they say. And I'm very, very comfortable now calling things out. Like when you say that, it makes me feel like this. Please do not speak to me that way. And not even in like a way where I'm trying to like check them or tell them off. It's just that this makes me uncomfortable. And it's like triggering me. And I try not to use trigger so much because people get like really, really like nervous about it. And that's not the goal. But I do want to let you know that I have a negative response when this happens. And so I know that because of that relationship, the good of it is like I feel abundantly comfortable with advocating for myself in any situation, at work, in romantic relationships, friendships, whatever, that has helped me in that area, feeling like, no, if something is making me feel a way, good or bad, right? Like if somebody does something nice for me and it makes me feel good, I'm going to say that too. But especially like negative things, like if something is said or done and I don't like it, I'm going to say something. I think the adverse impact of that is that I just have a hard time trusting people. Like I don't like for like strangers or men that I'm like dating to come to my house. I don't really want people to know a whole lot about me, anything that they can like look up that's like my personal business. I don't like stuff like that. Like I shy away from it very, very quickly. If I go out on a date or anything like that, like I damn near don't want them to see me walk to my car. I just like I'm like terrified of that kind of stuff. So said all that to say, I feel like when we experience trauma like that, it does impact us moving forward. So if you don't mind, I know I just talked a whole lot and said a whole lot. I'm just certified yapper. I just talk forever. But if you could just share with us, like, what that experience was like being friends with Amanda for like 10 years. And then when everything came to a head and kind of blew up, and then how that impacted you moving forward.
Absolutely. And do you want me to talk a little bit about the timeline with all of this?
Yes, girl. Give us the tea. I got my drink.
So we can go back to about maybe like 2013 is when I first met Amanda. And this was in the church setting. I was like just struggling. I was struggling with many areas in my life, but I immediately found the sense of belonging within the church community. Everybody was so kind and so willing to reel me in as this like baby, I don't know, atheist, whatever situation I was. But that one of the people I met, named Amanda, she had a spotlight on her within the church. There were a few people that would go up on stage and like kind of share their testimony, but it was pretty common for Amanda to share about her battle with cancer. So she was known as at the church as, the woman who had cancer. The church and their like kind nature did a lot to serve Amanda, and us as her friends in the congregation also did a lot to serve Amanda, and what like anything we could do for this woman who was like dying of cancer. She said she was terminally ill. And I would say about, maybe 3 years later, I left the church. Like I said, I was struggling. I went directly into eating disorder treatment. So it wasn't really this decision to leave FCC. It was, I left FCC, went to treatment, and did that for about 3 years.
Okay.
So during that time, Amanda had also left the church, and she was also still talking to me about hospital stuff. It was kind of very strange. While she was experiencing her cancer, I was, like I said, really struggling with my eating disorder. And there was this strange juxtaposition between her loud and proud physical illness and my like very shameful and quiet mental illness. Mm-hmm. As far as growing as a human being, I know that, it's all in the same. We were both very sick people. But it was just kind of interesting how things that I was experiencing, she started experiencing. And mind you, at the time, I knew nothing was wrong. But as a church, we did see Amanda battle cancer, be okay, battle cancer, be okay, battle cancer, be okay. And all this to say, I got a letter from the Department of Justice in, I think, 2020 or 2019 to tell me that it was potentially all a lie. Right? This was a victim's notification that Amanda C. Riley was faking her cancer, allegedly. Just to stick in kind of some like another little weird aspect, about 2 months before I got that email that Amanda was faking cancer, she had reached out to me. I was in the hospital. I was in the gastrointestinal unit and at Stanford, and she messaged me to say, I know it's hard because I'm in the hospital too. This is my 100th day in the hospital, which she called, it was the Greywald Resort or the Beigewald Resort. And I know how it feels. She like started to say that she had pulmonary embolisms, which she knew I had. And it was just, it all got very weird.
Okay.
But
can I just stop you for 1 second?
Please stop me.
I'm so sorry.
Rocks.
So while you were battling a very real thing, like fighting for your life to get your mental health together and, which would transcend to your physical health, all of these things, you're like working your ass off to get these things together and get the help and healing that you need. She's jumping in and out like, yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. Yeah. And it just makes me think about, like, you know how when you're in like elementary school and maybe you were like struggling with a spelling, you know, like spelling. You have a spelling test every week. You've been struggling. You like, oh my God, I finally got an A minus. And the one bitch to the left of you is like, well, I got an A plus. And it's like, girl, we're talking about me right now. We're celebrating me right now. It's not about what you're doing. Or it's like, oh, I got an apartment. I just got my first apartment. It's 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and it's on the 3rd floor. And they're like, well, I just got a 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom, and it's on the 4th floor. It's like always trying to like one up you. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but I did growing up. It was always just like one thing better, one step above than you. And those type of people suck. So if you're like that out there, go to hell. No, I'm just kidding.
Totally right. That's exactly what it was. And you know, at the time I didn't see it that way. Like, oh, is she one-upping me? I was just like, how is she alive?
Yeah.
How am I alive is one thing, but like this woman was terminal miracle, terminal miracle, terminal miracle. And then she's saying that she's in the hospital right now with pulmonary embolisms, which is a very serious and potentially fatal situation.
Correct.
I don't know.
My mom died from pulmonary embolism.
She did.
Yes.
She
did. That is not something to like joke about. That's why when you said that, I'm like, you don't just get pulmonary embolisms and then just like walk away scot-free. If you do, that is the miracle, truly. Because I've had 2 family members, my mom and a cousin, about a couple of years ago, who passed away suddenly, just like that, from a pulmonary embolism.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I feel lucky. Just a PSA, it was birth control. It was a side effect from taking birth control. So I do like to let people know that.
Really?
That can be something.
Wow. Okay.
Perception. But anyways, so yeah, you get it. You don't just like, oh, last Friday I had some pulmonary embolisms. Like, it is a very, very, very big and significant issue that requires hospitalization, at least for me.
Right. For most people. For most people. I have a cousin who, after she had her son, her second baby, she had those and like had to be rushed back to the hospital and all of those things. Like, it is very, very serious. It's all kind of medications that they have to do and like very close monitoring of you, because if it travels, you know, it's just a mess. It's just a mess. So
yes, exactly. And that's why it's such an emergency, is because anything could shake that clot and just, you know, I mean, that's just told me that, you know, your family member died from it. But I mean, also, we're putting that on top of a lot of people die from Hodgkin's lymphoma. And so this woman is just stacking these things. And I gotta tell you, I thought a little bit like, oh, okay, just another thing on her plate, like just another thing that she's dealing with. And I was just like, maybe a little part of me was like, how is this bitch still alive? Like, literally, how is this bitch still alive? With what she's saying? Now, please know, just to jump to today, she's still trying to claim like kidney failure and like heart disease. And,
in 2025, after she's already been found out.
Yes. Honestly, I feel like she's still claiming cancer. I don't know that ever changed.
They need to, because I believe, is she out now?
It's a really messed up situation. She is out of federal prison and she is in a halfway house in Long Beach, which is way too nice for her.
Absolutely. Long Beach is beautiful. She needs to be on Rikers Island.
Thank you.
Like, anyway, go on. I'm sorry.
But, yeah, I don't know where we should take it from there. I'll tell you, my mom, like, maybe 4 months before I got this victim's notification, said, whatever happened to your friend that was dying of cancer? And I'm all, I guess she's still kicking.
Right.
And in retrospect, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. So when you, because I know you, okay, so you get the victim's letter, and now Amanda is going to court. And end of the story, long story short, she's found guilty. once you found out that verdict, were you like, I'm not fucking surprised. I knew this was a lie. Or were you like, yikes, like what? Like, what was your reaction to that?
It was a process.
Okay.
I was not willing to admit she faked cancer until she pled guilty.
Yeah. I remember you saying that on the documentary, and I was like, damn, like, imagine like believing someone until the bitter end, only to find out that they were lying. What a friend, Lindsey.
It just kind of shows, like, honestly, how convincing she was. Like, I'm not a stupid person, and I'm not the only one duped. I think at least 350 victims got that same email. Yeah. Yeah. And I will tell you, one of the hardest parts about this is that I didn't have anybody to talk to. I did not know one other person on this planet who had gotten that same email I got. So one of the hard parts about this was the isolation aspect. And I can't talk to anybody about this. And who can relate to this? Like, it's such a strange thing, like, to be out with your friends and they're like, yeah, so how was your week? And I'm like, well, my friend faked cancer, I guess, for like a decade and like got like hundreds of thousands of dollars and like duped the world and fled, and she's in federal prison. How are you? Like,
like, your weekend rundown and my weekend rundown are not parallel. Like, they are very much different. That is hilarious.
It was just so strange. But, you know, I actually lived in a house of 8 adults at this time. And mind you, very important to know, this happened during COVID. Very important to know, because I didn't have that experience of sitting in a courtroom going, there's other people here. I was on a Zoom like this, and I could see her lawyer, the judge, someone like, I guess, maybe transcribing. And so happening during COVID, where there was that extra isolation, was just kind of insane, really insane.
So you found out you were believing her until they were like guilty. How did you process? Like, you said it was a process, but how did you process? Did you like, I would have to go to therapy, or I was going to beat Amanda's ass. Like, I would have been, girl, thank God it was during COVID. I cannot imagine victims of her bullshit being in the courtroom. Like, they would have been contempt of court because somebody would have jumped her.
God, I would love to know how many people were watching that same Zoom meeting at that same time. But one frustrating thing is that I think one of the episodes of Scamanda was called The Wheels of Justice, and the quote, they turn slowly, and that's really what was happening. It was like, okay, court date January. Oh, for some reason it's now pushed to June, or for some reason it's now pushed to August. And this process was a couple years long.
Yeah.
To get to the actual sentencing, God, I feel like it was actually a few years.
Wow.
But yeah, when I immediately got that email, I did reach out to her. I did immediately say, hey, Amanda, just got an email you faked cancer, letting you know. And do you think that bitch called and said, yeah, you're right? No, she said, I do have cancer. I have the most cancer of any cancer patient. I have cancer. It's like,
I'd be like, girl, meet me in the field. I'm finna tear your motherfucking ass up. Like, if cancer don't kill you, I might. Because what is going on here? Like, you're gonna double down on a lie? Like, clearly you are scamming. And you're gonna double down. You're gonna say, even after being found guilty. And what blew my mind, and then we're gonna move on. What blew my mind about this whole situation is how she was able to get these pictures and go to these different hospitals with the same fucking story and be admitted. Because here in Chicago or in Illinois, there's a system called Epic. So I don't care if you go from the most northern part of Illinois to the most southern part of Illinois, wherever you go, your information is in that system. So they know what hospitals you've been to. They don't necessarily, I don't think they necessarily have like your records, like your medication. It's not like my chart, but they can see like where you've been in the system, and probably for that reason, because people will go one place and then they'll go somewhere else and then they'll go somewhere else. And she's saying like, oh, I have to go to New York for treatment, and she buying Louis Vuitton bags. Girl, ooh.
Mm-mm. For that.
Yeah. I bet you Amanda didn't have any black friends. Because if she did, girl, I feel like the outcome would have been different. A girl like me, I put my hands on her. Better. I would have put my hands on her. Like I'm doing a meal train with my family, taking food out of my house to help feed you and your kids, and you're lying? Eggs are $1,000 right now.
$1,000 for eggs, Amanda.
And I just wouldn't be able to handle it. So how do you feel like, if at all, did that impact your relationships, your ability to trust people? Did it impact your relationship with your partner, with your family, with any of your friends that you had at the time, any of the 8 people that you were living in the house with? Like, did any of that guilty verdict, how did that like impact you in any way?
It blew my mind, first and foremost, because it was so intricate. It made me wonder what else other people are capable of. Right?
Yeah.
Never underestimate a narcissist. And so
that's a word. Yeah. I need to write that down. Never underestimate a narcissist.
Never. There was no length she wasn't willing to go to. And because of that, I felt like anybody else could be convincing in that same way. However, just to zoom out and look at it, I realized nobody else in my life was going on with such a loud and boisterous story. I will say that initially it did kind of affect my ability to see people and not question their motives. Yeah. But at the end of the day, my friends are still my lovely friends. I'm thankful, very thankful for the people in my life. If you think about it, Amanda was one bad egg. And there were 350 good eggs that got victims notifications. Yeah. But I understand what mental fuckery that is. And honestly, I'm in a position where I almost felt like more of an observer, or more like I wanted to speak and try to represent a small portion of the community, which was those supporting Amanda. Was I her best friend? No. Were we extremely close? No. Was she present? Yes. Yes, I spoke to her. I would have considered her a good friend.
Yeah.
But she faked cancer. And that's on some psycho shit. And there are people that are hurting so bad from this. Yeah. Really bad. And that hurts to know that. And I hope that some people can understand that this doesn't affect their judgment. You still are choosing really wonderful people in your life to surround yourself with. If they feel good and you feel good, that's good.
Right.
A situation like this, I want to say, I mean, do you know anybody else? Like, truly, do you know anybody else who's been, like, come up with something like this, like, so elaborate and so all involved? You know what I'm saying?
So funny you should say that. I went to high school with a young lady who has, publicly said on her social media that she struggles with mental illness. But there's been multiple occasions where she's told some pretty elaborate lies, to the point that the most recent one, I called her out on it, and we're no longer friends on social media. Nice. But she has allegedly been pregnant multiple times and allegedly lost these children, which is really, really sad, because there are women who want to be mothers, who may not ever have that opportunity because something biologically isn't working or something with their partner is, off and is keeping them from being able to have kids, or maybe they actually do have cancer or have had cancer, and so therefore they can't have children. So she would just allegedly make up all of these stories about being pregnant. At one point she had breast cancer, but then miraculously she got a second opinion and she didn't have breast cancer at all anymore. And I'm like, that's not how that works. That's just not how that works. Someone does not diagnose you with a terminal illness only for the next doctor to tell you there was no such thing. Like, personally, do I believe in miracles? But yes. But do I know a lie when I see it coming? Absolutely. So most recently, she was pregnant again, allegedly, and sent me in my inbox a picture of a baby, a premature baby in an incubator, and was like, meet blah, 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 the name that she gave this child. And this is how much the child weighed and this many ounces and this long and blah, blah, blah. And so because I knew that she historically had told a lot of lies, I took the picture, dropped it in Google just to see, because I just have to know. And I look back now, like, why was I so invested? But I guess that's why I was so invested in Amanda too, because it really like fucks with my psyche when people lie like that. Because what makes you do that? I want to know what in your mind says, I'm going to make up all of this bullshit because I want people to have this reaction. And for this young lady, she wasn't even like asking for money or anything like that. I think it was just the attention from social media that she was getting that was like feeding this like attention-seeking demon that was inside of her. So anyway, I Google it. Of course, the picture comes up on March of Dimes. It comes up on like all of these different websites for premature babies. So I inbox her and I'm just like, why are you doing this? That's someone else's child. At the end of the day, that is someone else's baby that you are pretending is yours.
Yeah.
It's not like you're saying, I'm asking for donations for March of Dimes or for premature kids. My child is premature, and you're not pretending that this child is yours, but like you're using that picture to get people to donate. Even though that's like 50-50 bullshit, I can like digest that a little bit better than you saying, this is the child that I just delivered out of my body.
Yes.
So it's disgusting. So called her out on it. And then allegedly the child's father jumps in the chat. Allegedly, I'm almost sure it was still her texting me. Why are you so invested? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all of the other lies she told, like, really didn't impact other people. Like, this is different when you're bringing someone else's child. I cannot imagine someone taking a picture of my child and pretending that it is their own. I would be in right where Amanda is and not on Long Beach. I would be somewhere else, because no way. Like you would, and she has actual live living children of her own. And I'm like, if someone took your child's picture and put it on the internet and said that that was their child, you mean to tell me you wouldn't have a problem with that? Especially a sick baby. This is a premature baby that is probably fighting for their life, and you are lying saying that this child is yours. I got issues with that. I just do. But needless to say, we went through all of that, and I was just like, whatever. Like, my issue is you pretending that someone else's child is yours. Y'all can do whatever y'all want to do. Good luck to you. Good riddance. God bless. Done. And so I hope that she listens to this episode, and I hope that she knows, like, it still ain't cool. Like, that's bullshit, and you should not do that. It's highly inappropriate, and it's actually disgusting. So yeah, that's my soapbox. So yes, to answer your question, yes, Not in the same way as Amanda, because Amanda was getting bread. Amanda was getting dollar after dollar after dollar from people.
She was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's one thing from the documentary. It seems so laid out. It seems so precise. Look at how she's faking cancer, but nobody that was affected saw it that way. You know, the narrative wasn't, that a pregnancy reversed Amanda's cancer. It was not so clear. It was, like, oh, this child is a miracle.
Yes. Yes.
It was very select. It was very smart. Mm-hmm. She's a smart person. It sounds like maybe this person that was like stealing NICU babies, like, was not very smart, because that, and thank you for calling her out, because come on. Mm-hmm. But she was smart and she was adored and she had a big following. I mean, if you look at the people who are involved, like, that's LeAnn Rimes.
Yes.
I don't really remember a lot of the other names, but I know there were big celebrities.
Yes. I remember LeAnn Rimes too. I was like, wow.
Yeah. That was one of the, I think she had a signed guitar or something. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yeah. I don't know. I think that the chances are I will never meet another Amanda.
I pray not. May we all never meet another Amanda in our lives. May we all be able to go through this life and have genuine friendships. May we all be able to genuinely be able to help someone who is actually in need, and not someone that is lying and taking resources from people who actually need it. May we all meet Lindsey, and may we all have a Lindsey in our lives who sticks beside us despite all of the things that we may be having going on, or they may have going on, but sticks beside you and remains a good friend to the end.
Happiness, healing. It is. Yes. We all deserve this. We all deserve this feeling of good, solid, supportive, and loving connection.
We do.
And it's out there.
It's out there. It is out there. Well, Lindsey, this has been an amazing conversation. Thank you again for reading my DM on Instagram and sharing your contact information and hanging out with me tonight on this podcast. I have had an amazing time. It's been pretty therapeutic too, just talking about all of that hurt and kind of like being like, it's never going to happen again. I'm going to make some jokes about it, and I'm going to continue to heal, because that's what we're doing. All of the traumas and things that we've experienced in our lives, the Amandas and the other girls and the abuse and the mental health issues and all of that, every day we're healing from it more and more. And this conversation has been just another dose of healing that I needed. And I hope that it has been the same for you.
Oh, thank you so much for having reached out to me. I'm so honored to be on your show. I'm definitely a fan. And I thank you, Rhonda. You're such a cool person to have connected with. And I'm glad to know that somebody is out there just as willing to chop off dicks as I am.
Hey, cutting them off. As you guys know, you can follow me on Instagram at Rhonda on the Rocks, TikTok at Rhonda on the Rocks, and Facebook at Rhonda on the Rocks. You can also stream this episode and others on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Until next time, everyone. Bye.